PoliticsDoneRight.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics and Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, and to every nook and cranny receiving the signals from our 100,000 watt transmitters into those magical boxes known as radios, aka the Howard Reynolds boxes. Anyway, folks, we have a great program for you today, but I need to remember to welcome our international listeners as well via the magic of the internet, created by whom? Created by you, monopolized by the plutocrats, the oligarchs, and all these big guys that we are going to take it back from. Anyway, without further ado, let's go to the genius, the geniuses in the studio. Good morning, my brothers. How are you guys doing this morning?
Well, just one genii this morning.
Oh, only one this morning. How is it going, my dear brother?
It's going good. It's going good this morning. How are you?
I am doing fine. I am doing excellent, especially since we know we're about to get the message of the day.
All right. All right. Here it is. Media speaketh with corporate tongue. Media hides and conceals the systemic violence built into the for-profit insurance industry. The systemic violence being the denial of claims for treatment when the patient's care cuts into the profitability of the healthcare policy. It's a real sick industry that seeks to profit off of the misery and misfortune of a healthcare client. It's morally wrong for the mainstream media to give a pass and attempt to conceal the underlying cancer of greed in the for-profit healthcare industry. That word, systemic violence, means it's built in.
That's exactly what that term means. Systemic violence, it's built in. And yesterday there was Bernie Sanders did an interview with Meet the Press, and I did a video about that I'm not going to play right now, depending on how many calls we get, etc., whether I play it or not. But the concern here is, again, that we concentrate on the crimes of the individual, but rarely do we talk about what is the crime of the corporation that actually affects the many. And it is something I think we need to start thinking about because, my God, as Elizabeth Warren alluded to, uh, people, not that it's right, but people eventually starts to react when wrong has been continuously done and when wrong becomes systemic. And a lot of wrong that's happening to the vast majority of Americans right now is systemic. And over time we'll be discussing a whole lot of that. So anyhow, what is the name of the program or the title of the program today? It says, Tell No to USPS Polarization Interview is Now Health Insurance Killing Ways Go Unchallenged. I said I don't know, my title actually has a word that needs to be changed. I said, tell Trump no to USPS polarization. That's United States Postal Service. Last night I was writing an article or responding to uh, uh, a member, well, actually the chief organizer of a nonprofit trying to bring people together. And polarization was on my mind. And as I wrote this piece for this morning, instead of saying USPS privatization, I sent out a whole newsletter that said USPS polarization. Well, there is USPS polarization, but what I wanted to say was privatization. All right, look, one of the best run, and I mean this, a lot of people try to malign the United States Postal Service, but it is one of the best run organizations, not because of the leadership on the top placed there by presidents, etc., but because of who the people are, what the people do day in and day out. Deliver your mail, deliver your packages, deliver to places no for profit, no private company is willing to go. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of the myth that somehow the USPS is not as good as FedEx, UPS, DHL, formerly other airborne, or any one of these private delivery services. That is simply false. Let me go a bit further. All the technology that these other companies have used to deliver your product, barcodes, zip codes, all these things either had their genesis or perfection with the United States Postal Service, paid for with design of quasi governmental dollars, not dollars that some private investor put in there, but in effect, your dollars, your tax dollars, your technically speaking, the postal service is a governmental company that is self-sufficient. So all the things you hear about the postal service, usually there's a bias behind it because the private sector would love the lucrative control of the postal service because it is huge, it is vast, and it's all encompassing, and it's something that we need. So whenever you hear people maligning the postal service, let's be very clear. That is one of the best run organization. And if in your local area you have some postal employees that get you upset because of some service, etc., want you to remember that that's just one little piece of what they do. And basically, the work that they do to get a piece of mail from point A to point B in the United States is nothing more than exceptional, extraordinary, and at a price that no private company that is for profit could actually do. And you know how we know it? Because they're not doing it. Let me tell you a little secret that very few people realize. When you ship something by FedEx or UPS or whatever, there are certain areas in this country, what we call the last mile or the last few miles, where UPS and FedEx, they won't go. Some deep rural areas, some parts of Alaska, some parts of Hawaii, they don't go. So even as you ship via UPS, the person who delivers that mail into the area, UPS or FedEx or these others, won't go because it's not profitable. Guess what they do? They say, hey, USPS, that company or that governmental agency that we constantly malign, could you please deliver this for us? Because we don't go there. We don't go there. But the USPS, United States Postal Service, goes everywhere. And as they go everywhere, their employees are well paid. Their employees have fairly good services or very good benefits. They get time off. And they do all the good things one would expect of somebody who is an employer and treats their people like human beings. And for doing that, Many in the private sector, many for profits, they don't particularly like that because at that point, those postal workers become a challenge. A lot of the private companies, delivery workers are going to say, the Amazon delivery worker may say, why don't I get those same kind of benefits that these guys get and deserve? Why am I not getting that? To which the answer is, well, you're not getting it because the CEO, the CFO, and the shareholders have to get their bonuses and dividends for sitting on their butts doing nothing. So while every so often we have one of our nice callers call in and get upset at myself when I say that the model of capitalism is to make a buck, an excessive buck on somebody else's back. This is a classic example. This is a perfect example. Good workers at the United States Post Office making a good salary, a deserved good salary for going to every nook and cranny in America with dogs barking to interfere with their work, with putting a lot of times their lives on the line in certain projects as they deliver mail or certain apartment complexes as they deliver mail to rural areas up in the mountains where they risk their lives having driven year after day, month after month, year after year on windy, icy roads, but getting you your mail, making sure that something that came from Timbuktu, America, goes to Timbuktu, America, at an affordable price. You can get a letter to anywhere in America, in any of the 50 states, whether it be in continental USA, or Alaska, or in the northern part of our continent in Alaska, or again, in the middle of the Pacific in Hawaii. Same price, you get your mail delivered. And in the indoctrinative state that we have right now, they will have you believe that there is something wrong with the United States Postal Service because some for profit group of companies would like to privatize it so that they can raise those prices and make a dollar on your back, a dollar, and then claim they're more efficient where there is absolutely no evidence that the United States Postal Service is less efficient than UPS, FedEx, or any one of these, and at the same time deliver your product, your things at prices that are better than that of these for profit companies. Look it up. Go ahead to, the great thing is, as I speak these words, you can go to any website and you can price a letter and see what it'll cost you on USPS, FedEx, UPS, or any other service. You have that ability to do right now. Check it out. And what do they want to do? Well, article in The Common Dreams, title, No Way We Let Trump Privatize Postal Services, say progressives. After weekend reporting indicated President-elect Donald Trump is actively thinking about avenues to privatize the U.S. Postal Service, progressives decried any such efforts and once again directed their ire on the much reviled Postmaster General appointed to run the USPS during Trump's first term. Citing people familiar with recent talks within the incoming team's camp, the Washington Post reported Saturday that Trump is keen for a privatization scheme that would hand the USPS over for private interests. Trump, according to the Post, Trump has discussed his desire to overhaul the Postal Service at his Mar-a-Lago estate with Howard Lutnick, his pick for Commerce Secretary and the co chair of his presidential transition. The People said earlier this month Trump also convened a group of transition officials to ask for their views on privatizing the agency. One of the people said, told the mail agency's annual financial losses, Trump said the government should not subsidize the organization. The people said, the people spoke on the condition of anonymity to reflect private conversations. Trump hostility to government programs that serve the public interest, including Medicare, Social Security, public education, and consumer protection agency, is well documented. Trump's attacks on postal service include his blessing of the 2020 appointment of Postmaster General Louis DeJoy, a former logistic executive, sparked alarm after Republican desires to gut the agency from the inside out. While calls for DeJoy to fire DeJoy from USPS top leadership posts persisted during the last year of Trump's first term and remained constant during Biden's time in office, he remains Postmaster General despite repeated accusation of his ultimate aims to diminish the agency to such an extent that it will be more possible to justify its dismantling. Well, they can't quite dismantle it because it's in the Constitution, but they can sure weaken it. Let me tell you something, folks. The Postal Service, unlike what you hear outside, is not broke. It's profitable, but it is asked to do something no private company is asked to do, and that is to fund at 100%. I don't quote my numbers, but fund retirements of postal services in the present for the future that no other corporation must do. In other words, they are putting lead blocks to try to sink the postal service and make one believe they're not profitable, even as they deliver your mail at economically cost prices relative to the for profit delivery services. Let's not be hoodwinked. Again, narrative is everything. They ask you to deny math. The Postal Service does the research to make efficient delivery of products. They created the zip code system. They created all the technology needed to deliver and track mail efficiently. The private sector, like parasites, picked up all these different technologies. They built some on it, etc. Picked up these technologies. They don't even deliver to every nook and cranny in this country as the post office does all over. But these parasites would have you believe that somehow they are better than the postal service. They want you to believe that math does not exist. They want you to believe that if all other costs are equal, meaning the cost of delivery, the cost of machinery, the cost of engineering, the cost of well, the postal service doesn't really have to do as much advertising as UPS and FedEx, but all those things the private sector and the public sector has to pay for. But additionally, the UPS and the FedEx must pay shareholders a whole ton of money. They must pay executives a whole ton of money, costs that aren't there in the US Postal Service. And then they want to tell you that all those costs are going to make them more efficient than another company, the US Postal Service, that has none of those costs. They look at you and say, you are not very smart to believe it. Folks, as you know, every time the private sector, for profit sector, takes over a public trust, a public entity, it ultimately costs you more money or you get less services. It same occurred in Medicare. As Medicare Advantage came into the fold, they took away services. Yeah, they give you the impression that they give dental. They give you the impression that they give you all these things. But beware. So, in closing, the United States Postal Service is one of the most efficient ways to not one of the most, is the most efficient way of getting you your products mailed from point A to point B. Telephone number 713-526-5738. Again, the number is 713-526-5738. Extension number 2 to speak, extension number 1 to contribute to our program, to contribute to KPFT. Do remember, folks, we are still at this program still hasn't received any much contributions for our silent donations for this month. So please, as you call, consider going to kpft.org, selecting donate, and then politics and right, and contribute to this program. Let's go to Nancy. Good morning, Nancy. How are you doing?
Thanks. What I'd like to say at my post office, which is in the southwest area of Houston near Chinatown, we have a postal worker who is Asian and he can speak Chinese. We have another postal worker who's black. We have another postal worker who can speak Spanish and sometimes Vietnamese one there. This is if you go in there, you see lots of people with parcels they're sending to other countries. I mean, you can imagine what's happening there. This is a very good service. And guess what? My mailman is black. The one before was black. And you cannot find a wonderful service that is hiring people of color. And it used to be a long time ago, they would give jobs exclusively to veterans. So the veterans had a place to go after they got out of the service. This is a wonderful organization, and I think you have to see what DeJoy has done. It used to be $1.25 for a money order. Now it's, the last time I went was $1.75, and then this year it was 63 cents for a first class. Now since July it's gone to 69 cents, and it's been jumping with this guy. Mr. DeJoy. DeJoy needs to go, in my opinion. That's all. Thank you.
Nancy, wait, hold on. Don't leave yet. Let me just tell you, thank you very much for pointing out another thing about the United States Postal Service. It is one of the employers that most resemble America in the way it employs people, both at the levels of delivery as well as the levels of management. And it's amazing, right? This very diverse organization somehow is the most efficient organization of them all, because we don't have the parasites that are running it, but people that in the aggregate are doing good work. Thank you so kindly for your call, Nancy.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, let's go to Brother Bard. Come on in, Bard.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
Well, I want to disagree with you, but I'm going to start with congratulations to President Trump for winning Time's Man of the Year for the second time. Time magazine has chosen President Trump as their Man of the Year. And as much
Okay,
as you
stop.
hate
Okay, stop. No, no, no. Hold on. Let me respond to that, and then I'll let you continue. Please do remember that Hitler also won Man of the Year. Continue.
you have to admit that our president ran a brilliant campaign these last 2 years.
Stop. Now.
And
Great. No, no. Okay. I want to address one at a time. You're
interrupting me.
absolutely. Hold on a second, Bart. One at a time. That's why I cut you right at your cut point. You're absolutely right. He ran an excellent campaign. He won a campaign that was able to win him more votes than did Harris, and he did it in his way. And you're absolutely right. What he did immensely well is proven that hate still has power, and the ability to separate still has power. In fact, I wrote an article, no, rather, I responded to an organization that I work with, an organization that tries to unite people. And one of the questions that the leader of that organization asked me is, are we wrong into believing that people wanted inclusivity? And I responded, no, we're not wrong. It's simply that the narrative that we're putting out there isn't. The way we should have gone after Trump and those who thought they or believed supporting him was the right thing to do was not done correctly. But you're right. Trump realizes that and he used it. And while he didn't garner 50% of America, remember, most Americans voted for somebody else, he did win the election. Continue, Bart.
And as with all government agencies, including the post office, President Trump just wants to make it more efficient.
Okay, stop right there.
But
Now,
Elon Musk
no, no,
does
okay,
this.
stop. Whoa, whoa,
Uh,
whoa, whoa. One at a time.
done.
Bart, no, Bart, I said one at a time. When you make a point, I want to address it instead of trying to do all at once. Efficiency has a definition. You can't just say he wants to make it more efficient. The long narrative that I started this program with gave you the pretty much analysis of the USPS, United States Postal Service, versus UPS, FedEx, and any private delivery service. So just telling me you're going to make it more efficient by turning it over to the private sector will not be enough uh, on this program at all. On this program, what matters is facts. So continue, sir.
Well, that's the reason I called, because I heard your monologue and that was your opinion.
Oh,
But I
stop,
know the
stop,
post
stop,
office
stop. You made a,
is
hold on. You made a comment. You said what I just said, what the monologue that I had was my opinion. You're simply wrong. All the things that I said about the USPS versus the FedEx and UPS has nothing to do about opinion. The USPS is more efficient because it costs less money to move pieces across America. And number two, it does not have to pay executives and shareholders, which is a cost center as well. That's not opinion, that is fact. And likewise, the last mile of delivery in many areas in this country, the UPS and FedEx won't go, and they ask the most efficient delivery service in America, the United States Postal Service, to do it for them because they could not do it as efficiently as the USPS could. There is no opinion there. Those are statements of facts. If you can't, I won't allow you to call what I said an opinion. Continue.
okay. So I challenge you to mail a birthday card anywhere and see if it gets there. It will be stolen. In
Well,
my
that's a false statement. Every day, people receive their mails for their bills, etc. In the billions of mails that are mailed out every single day or every single year, some of them will be lost. Just like FedEx who has less volume, UPS who has less volumes, they lose packages, they lose sheets, just like the Postal Service, and their rate of loss is no less or more than the USPS. Continue now.
So myself, I live in an area that has the cluster mailboxes, and those have been getting broken into.
Stop. That's not a problem. Stop. That's not a problem with the United States Postal Service. That's a crime problem with the police that you guys generally like their work. That is something that has to be handled with the police, not with USPS. Continue, please.
Yes, we've called the constables, and they say there's no sign of forced entry because the person doing it has a key, which only the postal workers have the key.
False again. Again. You see what I'm telling you about. The reason I'm stopping you every time, Bart, is a lot of people like to say things and they say one piece of misinformation after the other, and then you don't get to address all of them, and that's why I'm stopping you with every statement to correct it. Yes, there are thieves in the postal service, just like there are thieves that work for USPS. I mean, for UPS, just like there are thieves that work for FedEx. Crime is there's a certain level of crime in every organization, just like there are thieves in the healthcare industry that get a lot of people killed every year. All right, so we have thieves all over the place now. Because something isn't broken in, uh, somebody has a key. There are people who manufacture those keys that are thieves as well. So that's not an issue with the organic postal service. Continue.
And that is a federal felony to steal mail. And the problem is, this is the whole problem. The postal service will not prosecute anymore. Back in the day, they would go after you. They would take your house, your car, everything if you stole mail. Because I knew a mailman
That's
that had this happen to him. He was stealing credit cards. Now they did
that's
a
not a
story
job
on
of the post, sir. That's not a
man
job
with
of the post.
1,000
Again,
pieces of
hold
mail in his
one
room.
at a time, one item at a. Sorry about that. One item at a time. The job, the legal part, is not a function of the post office. Just like it wasn't a function of Enron. When Enron ripped people off, it's the FBI and others had to come in and take care of business. Okay, we have different departments in our legal system that handle things. So Bart, I think thank you for calling, but I think
One
I
more thing.
showed. Oh, go ahead, real quick, sir.
There's a distribution center in Missouri City that was piling mail. They were 3 weeks behind with stacked mail in there. They would not get out of the building because of laziness.
No, actually, it's not
Last
because of
week,
hope,
somebody
hope,
went.
hope, hope. Let's get the facts together. It's not because of laziness. It's because of what DeJoy did, and when he rearranged the central distribution system without having adequate amount of workers to do it. Again, we have to get our facts straight. And I know the narrative that generally comes from the right, from the people who are indoctrinated into believing that the postal service needs to be privatized. I think we have to have more advocates that tell the truth to get rid of the lies that have been able to get into your psyche. But thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to tell hundreds of thousands of people the true story about the USPS because of a lot of folks that are receiving the same lies that were told to you. Thank you, brother Bart. Let's go to Augie. Come on in, Augie.
Good morning to you, geniuses. Well, originally I was calling because of last Thursday morning somebody was telling you about during the election that Kamala Harris misused taxpayer money, billions of dollars. It wasn't taxpayer money; it was donations from citizens that contributed her
Oh,
campaign.
I didn't
And
catch that. I'm sorry. Thank you for catching that, though,
and
Augie. I didn't catch it. Thanks.
I wondered if this guy ever paid any money for any politician or campaign or party. Uh, it wasn't taxpayer money; it was donation money,
Right.
and I do that. But then the Republicans cut funding to public TV and radio, so now PBS has to have commercials, NPR has to have commercials,
Hmm.
and the station KPFT needs more fund drives because we're counting on the federal money to come. And I've talked to somebody with other community radio stations in little towns, like in Washington State.
Hmm.
I ran into a volunteer that worked over there at his community radio. And the people in the rural areas depend on their community radio to tell them what's going on. If there's a
Yes.
flood going on, if there's tornadoes going on, by law, it used to be they had to have a live person at the station. So in the rural areas, people could call in, and they knew they could talk to somebody who would give them information that they needed. Uh, but but then when you start getting this call about the postal office, yeah, I know a couple of postal workers that one of them was a Trump supporter, and another one was a Mexican American, and he just voted for Trump. And I'm thinking, well, I guess you don't care about, and he's a union member, you don't care about your pension and it being privatized. And as far as lost packages, I have this Medicare company, and they said, oh, let's make it easy. We'll send you your prescription. Well, I think it's supposed to be delivered by Amazon. but Amazon gives you a certain time limit that it's going
Hmm.
to be get there by like 7 to 10 days. If it doesn't get there within those days, and you call back, then it says, "Oh, we're not responsible anymore. You're gonna have to reorder that. If you don't call
Exactly.
it within before those days expire, then they're not responsible. They don't care whether they deliver your package or not, and
Yeah,
their
and there's
employees."
nothing you can do. It's private, but I want, I want to address something that you mentioned, Augie, before you go, and that is the the friends of yours or people who work for the post office who then went ahead and talked about voting for Trump and becoming MAGA, etc. I think that was the biggest failure of the Harris campaign. And it's not only a failure. Look, again, the delta. I will continue to look at the numbers and say the delta of her loss was caused by her gender and race. But the reason I was anticipating a blowout is because I didn't think the gender and race would have had the impact that it had. But the other thing, and it's what you have to mention, dear Augie, were things like not addressing directly a whole lot of people who are going to be directly harmed by Trump selling the United States government to a whole lot of for profits who will be paying him and his people bribes in interesting ways to move forward. So I think your statement there is so important about postal people who voted for Trump not realizing what they were voting for is the demise of much of what they were earning before. Go ahead, I'll give close it right so I can go to Johnny.
And you were talking about this guy who killed the CEO. Well, the CEOs killed a whole bunch of people, but looks like the Trump supporters don't care about that. Trump said he could kill somebody and they would vote for it, and he did. He killed thousands of his own supporters in COVID. He told them to take bleach, and they died. He told them to take that uh, veterinary prescription, they died. Then he told them don't take the vaccine, and
And they
on TV,
died.
a whole bunch of them. Yeah, well, right before they died, they wanted to be on TV. It said, "COVID is real. Take the vaccine," and
Yeah.
then they died. And he's
Thank you very
responsible
much,
for thousands of deaths.
Augie. You're so right about that. I wrote a piece about the Bernie Sanders interview with Meet the Press yesterday, and I pointed out how they kind of honed in on something Elizabeth Warren said instead of honing in on exactly what you said there about what the executives do at these companies. Augie, I got to go to somebody else, so thank you so kindly, brother. So it's going to be Johnny, then Ray, then Betty. Let's go to Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
Theoretical good day. Before Louis DeJoy got himself into the post office by donating $1 million to Donald Trump, before he took over that organization, that fine, outstanding, dependable government organization or quasi government organization. They used to be totally governmental, by the way, until the Republicans decades ago fixed that situation. But before all that happened, I used to pay between 55 and 65 cents for a money order, as I seem to recall. But
Hmm.
since Louis DeJoy has taken over, that fee started going up a couple of years ago, like every month or every other month. Now I'm paying $2.35 for a money order to the post office because of Louis DeJoy. Let's not forget that guy forced the United States Postal Service into what I would consider an unethical, unlawful rental agreement with his family's business to the tune of, I forget how many hundreds of thousands of dollars, or maybe it was several million dollars. I forget now. There's so much to remember about these crooks. It's just, your brain gets overwhelmed after a while.
But
And by the way,
Johnny, the worst thing that the Republican Congress did was to force them to put, I think it's $75 billion into a retirement fund to pre-fund the retirements of the people. In other words, funds not needed today, they were forced to put away at the order of $75 billion, and I think they had to do that within I don't remember how many years. So it's not
it was
that
for a decade.
they're not unprofitable. They are just
Oh,
forced to pay money that no other private company has to pay. Continue, sir.
you can thank you can thank Marco Rubio for that. Marco Rubio and some Republicans and a few centrist Democrats, they at the 11th hour, literally 11 o'clock at night, one day back in whenever it was 2006 or 2007, I think, they required the post office to set aside $5 billion a year for
Right,
a supposed need of future retirees for their health insurance,
right.
people who haven't even been born yet, and now that money's sitting there, and you know that Louis DeJoy and Republicans are just salivating at the chance to get their hooks on that money, just like they are with Social Security, that big tranche of money at Social Security. They just want it. That's their money, and they're gonna get it. And by the way, let me correct our time traveler, Mr.
Breitbart.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever, Mr. Bart. Every time you intimate that it's our president, no, Donald Trump is not our president. He's certainly not my president. He never was a legitimate president. Donald Trump committed treason in order to get into the White House, just like Ronald Reagan did to beat Jimmy Carter, and just like Richard Nixon. What is it with your party, your people, your tribe, Breitbart? How come they have to commit treason, and how come they have to spend so much right-wing money in order to win elections? How come they have to sneak into voter registrar buildings at night or sometimes in broad daylight in order to examine not postal machines, but voting? Yeah, that's another thing too. Louis DeJoy has tampered with and destroyed perfectly serviceable voting machines, U.S. government property, and he's not in prison for that.
Okay,
What?
Johnny.
No,
Johnny,
Donald Trump is
I
not
got to get to
legitimate.
somebody else now, Johnny. Come on now. Thank you very, very much. As usual, you are always insightful, my brother. So let me get to Ray,
Has
but you
no
have a good one.
mandate.
All right, bro. Peace. You're
Trump
right.
has.
No mandate. You're absolutely right. No mandate.
I
All right, let's go to Ray. Come on in, brother Ray.
Top of the morning to you, brother Egberto. I just want to say, it was very, very difficult trying to get through that first conversation with you and brother Bart or whatever. I feel the same way, Johnny, whoever he is, Bright Bart, whoever. You know, I think about him and, that conversation. I'm so serious. I was about to tune out and go back to sleep because it was like that conversation. I'm going to tell you how unpleasant that conversation was like. It was like enduring a hot sauce colonic. That's what it was like for me. Okay. It was that unpleasant, okay? And because every time I hear Bard talk, I feel like Bard was one of those people that when Mitch McConnell stood in front of the room and said, our job is to deny President Obama a second term, he was like, yeah. And then when they lost, he was like, dang it. And now he gets to revel in the fact that for 8 years we got peace and some kind of joy and some kind of progress with Obama. And now all of that peace and joy that got reversed by his president, because I don't claim him as my president either. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to keep it G. But anyway, he's not my president. And I feel like he's just taking all that energy that, progressives and Democrats had for 8 years, and he's channeling that into his, Trump tribe, the MAGA tribe, and sticking it to all of us because they had to endure our joy for those 8 years when we were getting things done. And that's what I just, yeah, he's such a
Can I
troll.
can I interrupt you a second, Ray?
I just want to say, I'm gonna say one last thing, and then I'm gonna say from the bottom of my heart, I'm gonna tell you from the South, Bart, bless your heart.
Let me tell you something here, Ray, because let me tell you what I know it felt like a pepper sauce colonics to you, the conversation, right? But here is
Yeah.
what I like about that conversation because um, Bart put a consecutive list of misinformation, right? And what I did was stop him at each one. And the first one was that I thought was the most important is when he said, I gave a full uh, monologue on postal service versus the for-profit services, and all of it was fact-based. And then he came and he said that is opinion, right? And the important thing for me was not to leave it as being an opinion, because no, 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 no. This is not an opinion. This is how it is. And to tell our audience, all of our audience, folks, he said it's an opinion. I said it's fact. Please look it up. You can actually do it for yourself. Because what we have here is people that go home and think the postal service is a problem. And there's nobody out there really saying, no, here are the realities, and telling them what the realities is. And so there are a lot of people getting that information that Bart gets, right? Bart has Bart is not a dumb guy. He wants to he wants to be able to quote those things that he hear because of his own prejudices. You don't think Bart knows that a lot of what he says is junk? He knows it. But as I expressed to
That's what
a
I'm
group,
saying. He he was one of those people that was sitting in a basement somewhere sulking for 8 years while Obama was running the country because he couldn't stand seeing a black man in power. I'm gonna just be honest. He sounds very prejudiced about that. He sounds very right wing in that regard. And I feel like no matter he's one of those people that the Southern strategy talks directly to. He
right.
feels like if you can make him feel more empowered than a black man, not only will he let you pick his pocket, he'll go in his pocket and hand you his money.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
mean,
type
I
of
think,
person
I
I
think,
think he is.
President Johnson understood that mentality. There are people who deny themselves health care because somebody like you or me may benefit from it. So, as a having the scourge of seeing uh, some people get health care, they would actually deny themselves that service. That's a certain psychopathy. I mean, it's a mental problem. When I look and I say prejudice and racism is a mental defect, a mental problem, it's real. But here is what I try to solve with my program and the other things that you know that I do. While I know that there are some people that are immutable, like Bart, okay? Bart will never change his, no matter what facts you put in front of Bart, because of the lens from which he sees things. He'll never change. And I understand that. So, for those of you in the audience who are thinking, why do you waste your time with somebody you know is not changing? Here's the difference: the same information that has polluted, I should say, the same information that Bart is using not to pollute his mind, but to reinforce the prejudices. There are good people out there that get that same information and form their opinions, their beliefs, and their votes based on that. Bart opens the door to cure those. It won't cure him, but it will inform others that will move the ball forward. It's not about Bart. It's about the people that actually want to do the right thing. As you said, Johnson was right for a great number of people, but there are a greater number of people who are willing otherwise. Anything else, Ray, before I jump to Betty?
Yeah, I do want to get this in. I saw a meme on Instagram, and I just want to throw this out to Bart and to a lot of people who might actually ask, what has Biden done for the people? Well, look at this. Biden actually made, I'm going to talk about two specific policies. It's going to be real short. He made it so that airlines can't screw you when you want to change over your flight. That's number one. And the last one that was most recent is he just passed a policy that's going to go into effect that says banks can no longer charge you more than $5 for overdraft. And that's a huge improvement over
Oh
the
yeah,
$29 to $35 or
it was.
$39. And
Ray, I gotta
I
go, but you're
personally
right. Ray, I
benefit
gotta
from
go,
that.
but you're right. It was legal thievery. Thank you, brother. Peace. We'll talk at 3. Come on in, Betty. Sister Betty, you're on. Is our sister Betty there? Let's.
Yeah. Hey, Alberto, my father-in-law was a rural mailman in Minnesota. The winters was very hard, and he was also a notary. He could notary, them right there at the house, which that's what you call care and help
Mm-hmm.
from. And they do, and they are, serve the public always comes first with them. And on Amazon, they had the mailman. I don't care. Throw those packages, throw those things, even in the tree if you have to. And let me see. I still pay my bills, through the mail. I get all my Christmas cheer from them too. They do have a backlog, and that happens. And bar, same old song. Bye
Thank,
bye.
thank you, Betty. You stay sweet, beautiful. All right, so let's go to brother Jim. Come on in, Jim.
Hey there. Good morning, Egberto. How are you
Good
doing?
morning. Speak to me, brother.
There's something over there. I'm gonna be frank with you, man. Like, all I'm gonna say is, like, practice what you preach, my guy. You say that Bart is just blinded by his prejudice and stuff, but I can argue the same about you. You know,
Okay.
I feel like that sometimes you say that we listen to too much right-wing propaganda. Well, I could easily argue that you listen to too much left-wing propaganda,
Okay.
And like, you don't really give guys like Jim and Bard that much of a chance to defend their points. You just automatically assume that they're lying or that they're just blinded by
Okay.
prejudice and things like that. And
Let's stop you there because you made a good accusation. Okay. So let me ask you this: what have I said that misrepresented Bart? What have I said to correct what Bart said? That didn't give Bart a chance to express. I mean, think about it. I can't call into right wing radio programs. As soon as they figure out I'm lefty, I'm thrown off. But you can come in here and not only attack me, which I listen to, you can come out here and say that I don't do certain things, and at least I get a chance to talk about it. But I also give you the platform to speak. I'm not going to. You have the platform. So how am I doing that?
well, I mean, you do give us a chance to speak, and we appreciate that. I hope you know that. But like, I remember a long time ago, Bard was talking about, I believe, the Venezuelans
Yes.
about eating animals or something like that,
Yes. Yes.
and you just automatically went off on him. You like saying that he had some racial views or things like that.
Okay. Can I ask you a question? Don't you think that that is true, sir?
I don't think so.
Okay, let me ask. I mean, whenever look, I'm a black Latino Caribbean dude, right? But my entire family is
You
full of
you
people
said
of
that numerous times. Yeah.
yeah, and my entire family though is everything black, white, blue, everything. We are a very mixed up family, both by marriage and otherwise. So I don't, I that's not who we are. I mean, but the thing about it is, I also know that we live in a very prejudiced society. Don't you agree?
I don't think so. Like,
You don't.
I'm not
Okay.
saying there's no. I'm not saying there's no prejudice or racism or sexism or anything like that. But I don't really think it's that bad anymore.
Okay. Do me a favor, Jim. Do you listen to me every day?
I do. Yes.
Okay. Call early tomorrow because I want to talk to you about that. I want us to discuss that. Where you said I don't think it's that bad anymore. So I got two more callers I want to try to squeeze in. Let's call back tomorrow. I promise you I give you the airtime. Let's talk about that. Okay?
Well, I'll see if I can make it tomorrow. Okay, but
Sure, if
we'll
you
talk
can,
about it.
whenever you can, just call early so we can have more substantive discussion. Thank you, brother. Let's go to
Of course.
Bruce. Real Bruce.
I think
I can only give you about a minute, Bruce. Just under a minute. Coming in real quick.
I make it super fast. I've been getting my bills. I've never missed one in 50 years. There are many times I wish they'd get lost in the mail. That's it. Bye.
Thank you, brother. That's a good one, Bruce. Thank you, brother. You have a great day. Let's jump to Brian. That was a good one. I wish it got lost. Hey, Brian, what's up, brother?
Good morning. Good morning. How's everyone doing today?
We're fine, and I'm sure my brother Van Bever is fine too.
Good, good, good. I like Jack a lot. Since I'm so stupid as to not understand how government works, tell me how Biden can give out $541 billion in student debt relief, but not relieve people that have medical issues.
You
Now,
know, you
by the
asked
way,
that. Wait. You asked that. No, no. Let me answer real quick
thank you
because
for
you
cutting
asked
me
that
off.
before. No, listen
Thank
to what
you
I'm
for
saying.
cutting me off.
I'm about to give you some kudos, Brian. Stop being so aggressive and let us have an exchange. Here's the deal. I thought about it after you asked that same question on Friday. And I wanted to say, you know what? Brian did have a point that if we really wanted to, if we prioritize more with healthcare, even Biden could have done more. And that's what I was about to answer you with, my dear brother. Continue and try not to be so, you know what. Real quick, you only got about 30 seconds.
You don't elect to go to college and have a medical problem at the same time. You don't have ovarian cancer and say, oh, man, no, I don't want that one. I want to go to primary economics. Do you understand the difference between the two? He could have done much, much better.
All of our presidents could have done much, much better with healthcare. All of them. The only one that had moved a bit forward was Obama because we got the Affordable Care Act. But look here, I got to cut you off, but you know you always have a platform here, Brian.
Yes, he had the highest. Yeah, he took the deficit from 9 trillion to 19 trillion.
Okay, hold on. I can't let you end on a lie. The person that has given the most to the budget, has increased the budget the most, was Donald Trump. Go look it up. Thank you very much. I gotta go.
That is a lie.
That is not a lie. Look it up. Go look it up now, and you'll see it's a fact. Anyway, let me go to the studio with my brother Van Bever.
Oh, that darn systemic violence, man. Gotta get rid of it. All right, that's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jack. Hey, folks, look. The rest of the program is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. The video with Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, etc., and my commentary is there. Politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Anyway, folks, I got to get out of here. Love you all, whether you're left, right, green, blue, whatever. Come on in. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? For this show, out. Politics comes from Politics Done Right.
Your tween made you see we are the boys. It's painful concert number 3.